Hey guys, it's Will here, and welcome back to another DIY automotive video. Today we're going to be removing an ignition switch off of a 95 Honda Civic steering column. We've been doing a lot of videos on the Civic column just for the reason being that there are a lot of parts that you have to remove. And today, this ignition switch, on this ignition switch video, the column's already out of the car. You don't have to take your column completely out of the car, but it is recommended that you remove the 4 bolts that secure it to the underside of the dash to drop it down enough to give you, you'll gain a lot of access to the actual ignition switch bracket assembly. We're going to show you how to do that. But as of right now, our column is already out of the car here, so you can take a look. And we've already got the shroud pulled off, which if you need help with that, you can look at one of our previous videos on the Civic column here. And what we're going to do is we're going to be removing these 2 brads here, this one and this one, on this bracket here for this column. This will release the ignition switch assembly. You can pull the switch and the wires completely off. And a lot of people look at these and like, oh, well, that's welded in. It's not welded in. It's actually a bolt without a head that you can put a socket on. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to use a flathead screwdriver or a small punch, and you're going to take this flathead screwdriver here, put it on one of these brads, and knock it loose with a hammer. So when you tap it loose, you should be able to take a small pair of needle nose and grab the outer edge of the bolt heads and remove it, start unscrewing it. And it's best to break both of them loose first before you start unscrewing them. But before we get into that, to keep from damaging our turn signal and wiper switch, we're going to go ahead and remove those, which we've already done another video on that as well. So if you're having trouble with that, check that video out and it'll explain to you a simple way to remove these 2 switches. So let's get that taken care of and see what we've got on our ignition switch, guys. Alright guys, as you can see, we've got both of our switches removed. Now we don't have to worry about damaging them. And I've actually already taken my flathead and I have broke these 2 brads loose. What you want to do now is you want to actually take your needle nose pliers here, and because it's going to be really hard for you to grab them with your hand, and you want to just, you know, turn them easy until you can actually grab the brad with your fingers and remove it. And sometimes when you remove one all the way, the other one wants to kind of get stuck and you have to wiggle the ignition switch some to remove the second one. But this will actually release this bracket here, which is retaining the ignition switch to the column, and then you can install another one. So let's get this thing off so you can have a look at it. Alright guys, you can see we've got our bracket removed. There it is right there. And these are the brads. They look like bolts without heads, basically. So when you go to install your new ignition switch assembly, it's best to go to your local hardware store or like a Fastenal store where they carry hardware, and see if you can get the same thread bolt with a head. That way you're not fighting trying to lock this thing back down with a hammer and a screwdriver or a punch. So let's take and look and see what we've got. The ignition switch is just about ready to come off, but you're going to notice you got a few problems here, a few obstacles in your way. First of all, you're going to have a tab right here, the brown tab for your wiring. It's keeping it stationary to the housing of the column. All right, you're going to remove that tab by simply pushing in on the outer tabs of it, and it's going to pull back in. But then you have the clock spring wire, okay, here, and it's got a tab on the underside of the bracket there, and then it has one right here. You should be able to see it's a little blue tab. See it? You're going to push in on either side of that with a flathead, pull this out, and you're going to drop this wire down through this main bracket here, and it will actually allow you to pull the wires for the ignition switch back out, and you'll be able to remove your ignition switch. So let's get that taken care of. Alright guys, as you can see, our column is stripped. We don't have any turn signal or wiper switches. We don't have any ignition switches. It's just kind of a bare column here. And here's our ignition switch assembly right here. Well, I just went ahead and put the bracket and the brads back on there so we don't lose them. And that's it, guys. Installation obviously is reverse of removal. Another note is when you remove that clock spring wire, like we had talked about here, off of the bracket on the column, please make sure not to damage it. If you damage that clock spring wire, you might as well go ahead and just buy you another column, because you're not going to be able to fix it. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was informational, and then if you did, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe to the channel for everyday DIY videos. And I thank you, and hope to see you soon. God bless. Have a great day.